and gentlemen, today we meet someone with a very unique story, someone whose life and whose story really represents what this show is all about. You remember we say at the beginning of every show, or every episode, that this show is about healing, this show is about impact, and it's about people who can make us to dream again. Today we are meeting someone with a unique story, from a successful skincare executive to becoming the world's mayor, and he is now transforming traumas into sovereign media empires. This fascinating individual has an incredible story, and he says he has had to survive the unsurvivable. From an early life that was marked by internal suffering, unhealed trauma, mental disorder, and all forms of addiction, he says he will go ahead to losing his job, his marriage, getting estranged from his children, suffering imprisonment, plus a diagnosis that he says will change the course of his life and would now lead him to finding his mission. He says the spiritual awakening happened in a jail cell, and that marked the point when he chose to embark on his mission to help humanity. And since then, he's focused on building and using his framework to empower individuals and communities. This mission is what would lead him to leave Oklahoma in the United States, to Africa and to Cameroon, and now with Youth and the Future, which we are going to talk about in an instant. But first, let us finish the introduction of the world's mayor. The world's mayor is a 4-time best-selling author with at least 6 books to his credit. He is an award-winning producer, a UN speaker. He is certified by Google, Oxford, and Michigan. He is also a SCORE mentor, amongst other things. He's truly an inspiring individual, and his story of rising from struggling to becoming a global leader is a testament of persistence, of resilience, and of success. And I'm excited, ladies and gentlemen. Please join me with a standing ovation as we welcome Joshua T. Berglund. Hi, Joshua. You're welcome to Time with Melvin Stosh. How are you? Can I give you a hug?
Yes, you can.
You're welcome.
Very nice to
Please
see
grab
you.
a seat.
Quite the introduction.
Did I leave something else?
It's always interesting to hear people's interpretation of my story.
Yeah.
You did a fine job.
I believe there's just a lot about you that can't be said in one sitting or on a go. So that is why we have you here, so that we can talk.
Cool. Feel free to ask me anything.
Yeah.
I'm an open book.
Oh, yes. So let us start with, because this show, here we talk a lot about healing. If you watch some of the episodes, you see we talk to people who've been broken, and then we see how through sharing their story, we feel it's a kind of healing, and that we feel like some help can also come to them. And you're someone who's gone through these experiences, you've healed, you become a man of impact. And so I believe a lot of people are interested in listening to that story. But we cannot talk about the success part of it without talking about the rock bottom. So let us start.
Which version of rock bottom?
We can start with that. So let's start with struggling. You mentioned that you suffered internally quite a lot. You mentioned having unhealed traumas. You mentioned addictions. You mentioned disorders. Tell us a little bit about those. You mentioned something that had to do with autism and some other disorders. Bring us into that experience.
I mean, personally, I believe autism is a gift, especially when you learn to utilize it the right way. Dyslexia is a gift. ADHD is a gift. Neurodivergence is a gift. It's just learning how to adapt to it. But the biggest struggle for me was dissociative identity disorder. That comes from repeated trauma, sexual trauma, physical trauma, verbal trauma, just repeated. From the age of 7, when I was first molested by 2 men, and then that went on for several years, molested by a female babysitter, and then physical violence and abuse from my father. That developed the dissociative identity disorder, and that's like a soul split, and that creates multiple personalities or alters. And you know, one of the things they say about that condition is that you don't heal from it. You're unsafe to society. I will tell you that I was unsafe for anyone that came in my path, because I had so many different alters. I had this little boy that was loving and grateful and generous and
bubbly,
and loved to serve and bubbly, and then the other characters were a little bit different. And you know, being molested by 2 men, that and then also women, that creates sexual identity issues also. So my alters had different sexualities to add to it. And so trying to engage in a normal relationship with anybody was very, very challenging, because one thing would cause me to switch into a different altar, and then I would be a different person. I mean, it's one thing trying to be friends with somebody like me, which was very difficult. But imagine being married to me, where one day I'm really, really into you, you know, and you're just the apple of my eye, so to speak. And like all I want is you. And then I switch and become something different that has a completely different appetite, a different personality. And when that's untreated and you're not aware of what's going on, I wasn't even aware. Like, I didn't want to be the way that I was. I didn't want to hurt the people I hurt, but I did. And it was confusing, because I told this story, and I mean, listen, I didn't sleep last night, so I'm going to be very vulnerable, and I'm open and authentic anyway, but I'm going to be probably more so now, just preparing you. But there was a woman that I married that I told her to stay away from me. I warned her, like, I'm bad news. I'm going to break your heart, because I knew who I was. I knew who I wanted to be, but I knew who I was. And she thought she could love me back to health. She thought she could change me. No woman's changing a man. Only God can do that. And I got her to participate in some of the activities that I wanted sexually that were not morally sound. Let's just say that. I won't go into those details, but that's in my book, The Devil Inside Me, all those details. And she went along with it because she loved me. And after that, she said, I can't do this anymore. I love you too much to share you. I thought I could change. I couldn't. I ended up cheating on her repeatedly. For me, I was a chemsex addict, which is meth, cocaine, and sex. That was my thing for 20 years. I couldn't stop. It was you could call it demonic, you could call it whatever, but the fact is I couldn't stop. And I wrecked her. I broke her heart. And instead of, after breaking her heart and knowing I broke her heart and breaking the kid's heart, they weren't mine, but I was a stepfather, but a piece of crap stepfather. Even knowing after the destruction I caused, I wasn't ready to change yet. And I went even deeper into my addiction, and deeper and deeper and deeper. But I didn't understand why I was this way. I didn't understand. I was untreated. And so I didn't know, and that was a part of the problem. As I was going through life with dissociative identity disorder, but also a cocaine and meth addiction on top of it, adding to it. And look, people can glamorize cocaine all they want, but it's not really that glamorous after a while. But then when you switch to meth, you're basically saying, hey, devil, like, come on, all the demons. Come on, demons. I mean, that's all you're asking for. And I caused a lot of damage, not only to other people, but to myself. I didn't care what happened to me. I didn't care about dying. I didn't care about anything. I just wanted to keep feeding that demon inside me. And I couldn't stop. So here it is. I'm untreated with mental illness. No, it didn't matter how many times I went to jail. Wasn't changing. All I wanted was the next fix.
You mentioned that you lost a lot in the course of that period of your life.
Yes.
You got estranged from your children. You lost your job. You lost marriages. How was it like, and how were you able to cope through those moments to getting your redemption?
Well, so one of the things that I'm kind of known for is being very adaptive. Like, no matter what you throw at me, my brain automatically makes a game out of it. Like, one of the things I appreciate about Cameroon so much is you guys go through a lot. Nothing's easy here. But I love it.
Happy.
Like, I love it. Like, for me, it's fun, right? But when you're basically bringing hell into other people's lives, that gift I have of adapting doesn't look so good when it's adapting to wrecking people's lives. It doesn't wreck to causing people destruction and hurt, because I had no I had nothing in my heart that made me stop. Like if I was happy, I disassociated. If I was angry, I would dissociate. If I was sad,
Yeah.
like I never was able to feel anything long enough to want to change.
Yeah.
I would get that head change where it was, oh God, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to go to jail for getting arrested with or what I thought was a prostitute and it was a cop. I don't want to beat up another cop. I don't want to beat up my girlfriend again. Like nothing ever landed long enough for me to like want to change long enough. Yeah. So I didn't feel any of it. I didn't feel the loss. What I felt was the shame and, oh my God, I'm running out of places to keep my secrets.
And there was always a void.
So much distraction. I mean, so much, I was constantly distracting myself and I never was able to feel anything. But on top of that, the consequences never really landed the way they should.
Yeah.
Because I kept, like even when the public pressure and getting exposed publicly, that was embarrassing, but I was able to move past it quickly.
Yeah.
And until I wasn't. It took the first rock bottom, and that was where I could no longer run. And that's, for me, what changed everything and actually made me start having the first real conversations with God. Because being locked in a psych ward in LA County Jail with nowhere to run, facing 5 years in prison, and then the drugs and the alcohol had worn off after 24 hours, it was then that I really realized that, like, oh my God, what have I done with my life? I had every privilege you can imagine. Yes, I knew what it was like to lose things because we lost everything. My dad was involved with the mafia and, you know, we lost a lot. He had to go into I was escorted to school by bodyguards. You know, he wasn't in the mob, but he had mob association, right? Yeah. And then he had to testify against this mob boss. Therefore, we had to be protected, but he had to surrender all of his assets. But I knew what it was like to be a country club brat. I knew what it was like to be able to have access to anything I wanted. I had all of these privileges.
Yes.
I'd made my own money, and I just wasted all of it. And it wasn't until that isolation in LA County Jail after 24 hours, and I couldn't run anymore. And on top of that, I couldn't see any of the prisoners I was with, but I could hear their maddening screams. And that was making me crazy too, because I couldn't run anymore. And that's when I started screaming at God. That was a very interesting conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned that is when your spiritual awakening, like you mentioned it, that's when it took place. My question now will be, of all the things that you could have done, why service to humanity? Why choose to just be selfless? Why was it that choice?
That wasn't when I chose it. Okay. No. After being molested by two men, my very first vision was coming to Africa. Oh. I saw myself serving, which actually looks like Bafut, which is the strangest thing ever. At 7 years old, I knew nothing about Africa. I'm in Oklahoma in the middle of the United States. Like, it's a bunch of white people basically and some Native Americans. My very first vision was like serving there. I didn't understand how visions worked. I didn't see Africa on TV. I didn't see any of that. Like, why am I envisioning this? And after every time I would have a severe abuse and I'm like wanting to kill myself or something else, like God would give me this vision. It took years for me to understand what this was. But I also want to say this. Even when I was a chemsex addict, being up, strung out for 4 days straight, having sex with random strangers that are just an endless amount that I don't even want to count the numbers. I don't even actually know the numbers. I don't know, because the phone sex apps, I'm just sitting there all night long, it didn't matter. Just doing more drugs, doing more sex, I didn't know. The only thing that ever brought me joy was fighting on behalf of people that were disabled, that were marginalized. It was the only thing that brought me joy. Serving the homeless. That's the only time I felt happy. So when I did surrender my life is no longer my own. Take my life, it's yours. And that there's a longer version story of this, but I not only saw, after I did this, I swear I got hit by lightning on top of my head. I know I didn't really because I'd be dead, but it felt like lightning. It knocked me on my butt and lifted me up in this really crazy, euphoric, energetic fashion. It's still the craziest thing to me. And if that didn't happen, I probably would have walked away from my faith a long time ago, but that happened and I'll never forget it. And everything has been different for me since. But God showed me all my childhood visions leading up to that day.
Yeah.
And then God showed me the rest of what I'd be doing. And guess what? I didn't know how to do any of it. Any of it. So my dedication to service, I always wanted that. But the dedication and the commitment came through the surrender. Because even another thing I will say, my prayer used to be always, even when I'm snorting cocaine and paying for hookers and everything else, I used to pray that God would bless me with enough money so I could travel the world and serve. That was all I wanted to do.
And serve.
So after surrendering my life, it became everything to me. And that was over 11 years ago.
Yes, and you are a testament of selflessness. We see it in all the works. And that brings me to a question. You mentioned also that you suffer frequency-induced traumas.
Yeah.
And I followed your socials and saw you suffer that live in Limbe just a few days ago. And you said that's triggered by technology and also thunderstorm.
All frequencies, human frequencies, talking. When I was back in America, I lived in isolation for 2.5 years, from January 24 up until I came here. I had no idea what would happen when I came here.
Oh, wow.
I'm a people person. I love people. Anyone who's ever been around me knows this. And to be locked in basically my own prison because everything caused me pain, I love doing interviews. I have my own talk show. I couldn't do my talk show anymore without pain, and I just I'm going to do it anyway. And I kept having to quit because I was making it worse. And so the frequencies of technology, every cell phone notification that went off was like electricity in my body. My own voice, I lost the ability to talk for a long time. So when I had the opportunity to come here, my hope and my belief was I researched wow, they don't have 5G here.
Yeah.
So maybe I can get away from it and I can heal. And sure enough, it wasn't until I've had a few tremor fits at the palace, babies crying really hurt me. But nothing bad. I've been able to be in community. I've been able to be around people. I couldn't do this before. I would be able to feel you in my body. I can still feel you in my body, but it doesn't cause me pain anymore. But in America, it would kill me. Couldn't go to church. Microphones. When the microphone was feeding back, I was tremoring back there.
Yeah.
It electrocutes me. That's what it feels like. So by the grace of God coming to Cameroon, even though I haven't completely healed, I'm doing so much better and I'm able to live my life for the first time in so long. In fact, I'm able to live my life in ways that I never really have lived my life before. Cameroon has given me life. I mean, this is so much why I want to make it home, is because I feel indebted to this land, this soil, this community, the people here, because I have life here again.
Yeah.
In the same way I died in LA and found life, I've been given a new life here and a life that I've never had before, but a life I've always wanted to live.
Yeah. So you're saying this is your new home for the rest of your life?
That's the plan.
Oh, you're welcome to Cameroon.
I have to get my visa extended, but I listen, I don't believe, I had so many opportunities to come to different parts of Africa, and for whatever reason, God closed the door. I mean, I thought I'd be in Nigeria, honestly. I've worked there for so long, virtually. I thought Nigeria would be first, Ghana, Uganda. But Cameroon not only opened the door, but it happened fast.
Yes.
I mean, it was quick that I got here from interviewing Princess Abumbi, and a week later, next thing I know, I'm planning my trip here. And every day I've been here, it's made more and more sense. I love the people so much.
Oh, yes.
I love the people so much. I feel very connected here. I love community. The other thing, I've said this very openly on my social media, my favorite thing about Cameroon is that it doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are, you all still get along. I hate, and I don't like to use this word, but I hate how the Western media pits Muslims and Christians against each other. I love my Muslim brothers and sisters, even though I don't share that faith. I love them. A Muslim woman took me in when I was homeless.
Yeah.
I've learned more about devotion to God from a Muslim woman, and I'm a respecter of all belief systems. Just don't be an asshole. I mean, like, be nice, lead with love, share love, live in your purpose that God created you for. And it's okay if other people, I don't judge people based on different beliefs. And one of the things I appreciate about here is that you all understand what I truly believe Jesus came here to teach. And that was being the hands and feet to each other, being in service, having community, taking care of each other, looking after each other, and helping each other get through. And this is why I believe that the meek will inherit the earth. And I believe there's no better representation of meek than the people of Cameroon.
Oh, please, clap for that. All right, Joshua. Joshua, he's engaged in a lot of things that have to do. You're into technology, Joshua. I know you have a project that has to do with solar panels. We're going to talk about it in a bit.
Okay.
Right. So now I would love for us to hold this interview and welcome somebody that has been working closely with Joshua, and she's part of the reason why he is in Bamenda. After this break.